Hey, welcome. So I was originally hoping that I would have a new bike frame here with me so I could unveil my new sponsor. Well, sponsors. But unfortunately, I don't have one as of yet. So I decided instead of doing a sponsor reveal in the normal way, we would just do a little bit of a Q&A session where I can answer some of the questions I've received over the past few months, as well as talk about some of the new sponsors that we have on board for this year. Now, if you have any questions you want to ask me, I do AMAs monthly over on Patreon. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll leave a link in the description below so you can go check that out. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into some of the questions that I've seen over this past month that you guys have. All right, so who won the eBay auction and where did the money go? So good question. The money was originally going to go to the Richmond Mountain Trails, but after it passed a certain point, I was going to divide the funds up between the Richmond Mountain Trails and another trail network or set of trail networks, depending on how much money we raised. And if you saw the eBay post, we got up to like a little bit over 4,000. But the transaction never went through, and it kind of turned out to be a little bit of a headache. The top bidder backed out. They couldn't pay for it, so I had to open a case with eBay, and I was waiting for that to the dust to settle with that. I did a few second chance offers on eBay, and none of those people got back to me. So we're gonna have to figure out another way to get rid of this bike and do it in a way to raise money, because I don't want to take the money myself, but I also don't want to give the bike away for free. I think there's a good way to get the local community involved and benefit local riders as well as benefit some rider who wants to get that bike. Originally, I was going to do a raffle, but raffles have some regulations because it's considered gambling, so it's not easy as you might think just to host a raffle and get rid of the bike. So hopefully that answers some of those questions. I wish I could have done a raffle. It would have made life a lot easier, but that's just not the way life works sometimes. All right, the next question is, why were you wearing a helmet the whole time when building with Seth? That's a question I saw reoccurring when I went down south in December to help Seth rebuild his backyard. And the honest answer is my hair is pretty long, and it likes to do this where it just gets in front of my face. And so, yeah, I could cut it, but that requires effort and paying someone to cut it. Or I could just wear my helmet, which I had right next to me, to hold my hair back and keep it out of my face. Honestly, I find that's pretty easy. My helmets are generally pretty comfortable, so it doesn't really bother me. And they have better ventilation than hats do. So I'd rather get a helmet sweaty than a hat. So if you're wondering why I was wearing a helmet, or generally wear helmets a lot of times when I don't need to, that's why. This is a good one. So what happened to my basement bike shop? As you know, over the summer, we built a pretty tricked out bike shop in the basement of the house that I was living at. And I did say the house that I was living at because I am no longer living there. So what happened? That was in the basement of my mom's house. My mom moved away, and that kind of came unexpectedly. So I had to, I spent all that time making that bike shop only to learn that she was moving out. And now I'd been living with my mom a little bit, taking care of her because she had a heart issue back in December. But once she moved out, that was my cue that I could finally go move in with Haley up in Vermont, and that's where I am now. But I did post some things on Instagram about my basement flooding. Yeah, about that. We still have the house, or it hasn't gone up for sale yet. There's some work that needs to be done to it. So I've been checking up on it periodically, and one of the times when I went to go check up on it, well, one of the pipes upstairs had burst, and there's 4 to 5 inches of standing water in the basement of the house. That was pretty traumatic, but we ended up getting that figured out, and the basement is now dry. But that's why you don't see my bike shop in many of the videos. It's because I'm not there to use it. And it's kind of frustrating, but that's just the way life goes sometimes. It throws you a curveball. All right, so let's jump into the meat of this video. Who is my new bike sponsor. But the question you should be asking is, who are my new sponsors? So over the years, I've had a few sponsors, and I carried a lot of these over from racing where I would get free product support. That's called flow sponsorship. Well, as I've built up my YouTube channel, I can't survive off of free product. That doesn't pay the bills. We've had to make some changes to make what I do a little bit more sustainable. This year, I brought on an agent to help me out with the sponsorship process. And this year, I have 3 sponsors who are not only supporting me with product support, but they're also supporting me with financial help. This is huge. This will enable us to do a lot more with this channel than we're currently doing. And now that we're doing this full time, it takes a lot of stress off my shoulders. So the 3 sponsors are, one of them you already know, Noble Wheels. I've been working with them for the past 2 years, and I've been absolutely blown away with how good their wheels are. They have that silent hub that has instant engagement. The carbon wheels are basically bomb-proof, not indestructible, but pretty freaking, if you take a hammer to it, eventually it's gonna break like anything. But you can put them through a lot of abuse and they're gonna hold up. So I can confidently stand behind these wheels and recommend them to anybody who's in the market for some premium carbon wheels. So that's one. The second one is Fox Racing. Now, Fox Racing is the apparel, clothing, and protection company, not to be confused with Fox Suspension. And there's actually a funny story with the 2 companies. I believe the 2 companies started off with, the owners were brothers and they owned one company. Well, those 2 companies split up, one doing suspension, one doing apparel. Who got what was determined on a flip of a coin, heads and tails. Whoever got the apparel side, they got head, hence why it's called Fox Head. And then in the logo of Fox Suspension, you see a tail. Now, I have actually researched this. This is just what I've heard from multiple different sources, but nevertheless, it's a fun story to tell. So yeah, Fox Racing is now going to be supporting Skills with Phil. They have sent me a bunch of cool stuff, including the Pro Frame helmet, and I've never used kind of one of these light full face downhill helmets. That's a mouthful. I just call them a light downhill helmet. So it'll be interesting trying some new products out from them. Not only that, but some of my gear was getting a little ragged. I had carried some shorts over for 5 years and they were patched together. So it feels good to finally have some new riding clothing to wear. And then lastly, the one that you guys are probably most anxious to know about, and that's my frame sponsor. It was fun to read the comments to see who you guys were guessing was going to be my new sponsor. Some of you got it. Some of you picked up on the subtle clues I added in the video, like the bike box to the side of me. I also added a slogan at the end of that video. Next time for some seriously fun news. And I've been riding with a lot of their riders. Now, what had happened? Well, in the summer of 2017, there was a company that was prototyping a new downhill bike, and they needed a professional rider who was unaffiliated with a company to help them out and do some product testing to get some feedback on their bike. Well, that company was GT. GT sought me out to help test their bikes to see if they were up to snuff. And it was a really exciting adventure, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it because, well, it's a top secret thing. You can't exactly go around boasting about, hey, I just test rode a prototype bike. You just don't do that. So this is a company I've been working with a little bit, but I couldn't talk about. And now they haven't paid me or anything. They gave me those 2 downhill frames, which you may have seen some videos of. I haven't really put them in many of my videos, but they have been in some videos. But you'll be seeing a lot more of those bikes from here on out. So I don't currently have the frames. I'll be riding the GT Force, which is their 160 mil enduro bike, and then I'll be riding the GT Fury, which is their downhill bike. That being said, I have been loaning I do have a loaner from them, which is a GT La Bamba dirt jumper, and I only got that like a week or two ago. So I've been doing a little bit of riding on that. But again, until I made the announcement, I haven't wanted to show it. But you'll be seeing more of it from here on out. So why haven't I been posting many videos lately? Well, I think some of this video has answered that question. I haven't really had a bike. I actually don't have a trail bike right now, which makes riding a little bit difficult. That's also compounding by the fact that I live in Vermont. And if you look outside, there's quite a bit of snow on the ground. So trails aren't really open, and I don't have a fat bike, and the skate parks are snow covered. So I haven't really been doing a whole lot of riding, and therefore I haven't been doing a whole lot of video making. But rest assured, the videos will be coming. I'm going to be making a point to post a lot more videos this summer. I know this past year and a half, my video posting schedule has been all over the place. And that's been frustrating me, and I know that you guys have been really wanting videos. But I try to find the balance between the work-life balance, but also the quantity and quality of my videos. I like to put out good quality videos and not so much focus on the quantity. Now, there's a fine balance, because if you don't post enough, people forget about you, and you can essentially spend all year on a single video and not be happy with it. But rest assured, more videos will be coming. And lastly, since I did have a bike box in that last video, what was in that bike box? Good question. That's actually a GT Avalanche, which is a more of a budget hardtail bike that GT offers. I have that because I'm going to be doing a bunch of tutorial videos on more of a budget bike. I think a lot of times when you're a beginner trying to learn a new skill, and the skill is being demonstrated with somebody riding a $10,000 bike, as a beginner, that's kind of discouraging. I know that for a fact because a lot of times when I go to look up a tutorial, let's say woodworking, and they're teaching you how to make a basic box, but they're doing it with a $100,000 wood shop. For someone who doesn't really have that much woodworking equipment, it's hard to relate to that. You're like, hey, how did you make this with just a plastic knife? So I get it, and that's why I really wanted to make a point to do a set of tutorials on a budget bike. So expect that over the summer, and I think this will be a really fun project. That's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching. If you want to pick up some of these stickers I've conveniently placed right in front of you, I'll leave a link to those in the description below as well. As always, my name is Phil Metz. Thanks for playing bikes with me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.